Hi everyone, welcome back to another For Those Who Code video. This channel is about learning and sharing skills about code and design. If you want to grow your skills and learn new things that's coming up, please like, share and subscribe for more. In this third part of Gatsby and Prismic video series, we'll be exploring plugins, GraphQL queries and generating dynamic pages. Let's look at plugin first. If you have noticed before, we mentioned about the default plugin that our starter template uses. It's inside Gatsby config.js. Inside here we have a couple of plugins, and the first plugin that I want to discuss about is Gatsby Source File System, which is right here. Talking about this particular plugin, it's generally used for sourcing the data that we need for our local file system. Now the next plugin is Gatsby plugin React Helmet. This provides a drop-in support for server rendering data added with React Helmet. If you don't know React Helmet, it's simply a component that helps us to control our document using their React component. With this plugin attribute, you add in their component, example, title, meta, attributes, and many more, which will get added into the static HTML pages Gatsby later on builds. Gatsby Transformer Sharp and Gatsby plugin Sharp. These two plugins helps us to provides us with an optimized users, and behind the scene they use the Sharp image processing library to optimize image for us, which is this one right here. Sharp is a generally high-speed Node.js model to convert large images into common formats and smaller web-friendly images for varying dimensions. If you want to learn more about Sharp, I really recommend for going through their documentation. If you take a look inside our image component from where the image of all the website has been distributed, it's inside components and image. So we have just one image in overall our starter template right here, which is this image component. And inside here, we can see that there is a new constant called query, which is a GraphQL query, which says set up a new entity called header, placeholder image. And then we do have a file query, which consists of relative path, and then we have this particular name of the image. When we have that particular item, then the child image sharp will set it to fluid and basically have flex in size, set its max width to 300, and ultimately add this to our Gatsby image sharp fluid. The best point here is it handles all the responsive image for us. If we don't have to waste any time writing media queries to handle the image in various devices, and the image is totally optimized by the sharp library as well. Now let's apply this in action. I have added another image over here, which is banner.png, and let's try to write some GraphQL queries in order to access this banner.png with the help of GraphQL queries, and later on use some of our plugins to optimize that particular image. For that one, we can obviously create a constant and name it query, which is GraphQL query, and add the template literals. And inside here, we want to query down for the banner image, which is inside a file, and relative path banner.png, and then I want child image sharp to process this image and add fluid, which helps us for responsiveness. Give it a max width of 1200, and also we want this to process with Gatsby image sharp fluid. And after this one, we obviously need to import image from Gatsby image, and also we want to pass down the data which we queried, which is available to us with data in default inside of Gatsby. And also we want to add that particular image right here, and we want to close this down, and we want to access basically the object that we want to access, which is data, banner image, child image sharp, and fluid. So we want fluid data dot banner image dot child image sharp dot fluid, and then we want to also add some alt attribute and give it a banner and hit a save. Then if we take a look at the browser, probably this in uppercase, so yeah. Now what we can see here is we can see the image, and if we hit on the inspect and inspect our image right here, what we can see here is our image is fully optimized, and we can see the use of picture tag with the uh, default attribute like fallback with the different kind of browser devices that we have as well. So same goes to the other image, which is used from the image component right here. So basically we are doing the same, but a little bit of tweak, adding fluid inside our tags. So now this is how you can import images with the help of plugins. Now let's discuss about GraphQL inside Gatsby. GraphQL is a query language to pull data that we use before to get some of our images inside our local folders. I have refactored some of my code right here, and I have used a GraphQL query outside of our components and inside of our index.js, and I have actually queried two images from our local folders, which is banner and Gatsby astronaut. And I have given the name of icon image and banner image, where I have the provided related path for each images, Gatsby icon and banner images. And later on, we have used child image sharp as our processing library or plugins behind the scene, and asks this particular plugin to provide us with a maximum width of 50, and for this case maximum width of 2000. And further, this will be processed by Gatsby image sharp fluid as well. And later on inside our template right here, we have passed that particular query as in data, and default Gatsby query will be available inside the template with data, and we have accessed that particular nested JSON objects right here in a sense, like data, icon image, child, image sharp, dot fluid. And we have also provided some alt text so that we can render some multiple images with some GraphQL queries inside of our pages, which can be seen like this one. So let's take a further more simpler example. If we take a look at layout.js inside here, we already have used our GraphQL query inside our layout.js right here. It basically says GraphQL, I want the site object, which is this one. I want the site object, and inside it I want the site metadata, and inside that I want just entitled. And here is a perfect example of how GraphQL query really works. The good thing about GraphQL is we can ask for just the data that we want rather than the whole object, which contains the unnecessary data that we don't want. This is generally what inside REST work. We are not only structuring on what we want, but also we are structuring how we want as well. If you don't get what I mean, we will obviously dive into GraphQL in this video. Just hold on with me, and I don't really want to go into basics, but obviously I want you to understand, and I want you to introduce the tool that we have here. If we go inside our local browser, let me stop this one and restart it again. And if you have ever noticed before, we have a GraphQL inside our IDE, which is GraphQL and in-browser IDE to explore our site's data and schema. If we click on this one and hit towards our GraphQL inside our browser, then we can see here we have all the queries available for us that we can further explore. From our GraphQL, it's easier to understand GraphQL much easier. From here, we can see the available information we can query in our left, and we can write our custom query in the center right here, and immediately we can see the response to our right here. And we can always build our request before we write queries. So inside our layout.js, we can see a query for our title right here. So let's explore this particular query inside our GraphQL. So for that one, we need to go to site title query, site, and site metadata. We can go site metadata and we can query down for title. Also, there is description available. So we will tick these two and hit on write this one. And as you can see here, we have our data returned, which is the title and this description as well. And but we don't have added description right here as well. Or you can copy down this query and paste it over here as well, and name it as per your requirement. And after adding description, we can also add description. Inside here, we can access it like data.site site metadata.description, as we discussed earlier. So if we move on to our header, we have site title, and also we need to add description right here, and copy this one and add a description here as well. And if we hit and save, and also give it a save for layout as well, and if we visit our, and as you can see here, we have successfully added a description to our header as well, but it's not properly styled, but you get the point, right? So from this way, you can always access the information, look for the type of information that you want. Also, we also have an author, and if we hit on play, then we can see the author as well, and you can also access this kind of information from GraphQL and add it to your queries inside your code as well. Now let's also see how we can query down all the assets that we have inside our images. So for that one, we can remove the current query and start from something a blank slate, and then we can query down for all the files, and we can hit on edges and a node, and then here we can go to relative path and hit on enter, and as you can see here, it returns the JSON with all the images that we have inside our current images. So this is how you can access all the images inside our Gatsby application. Now let's also take a look at how we query down the images inside our about.js. So not about, it's actually index.js. So inside here we query two images right here. So let's copy this query right here and paste it inside our GraphQL IDE. So we can query and add my query and query down this particular query right here and hit on play. As you can see here, we have some error, which is this one. So it cannot find this particular plugins that we have inside Gatsby. So we will remove this one and replace it with original image, or you can also find its original name as well. And for now, I will also replace this with original image and hit on enter. And as you can see here, it returns us with this JSON object where we have all the path that we have, and here is our image, and here is another image right here. This is how you can go and play with the GraphQL IDE inside your browser. Now, another thing we need to be clear about is the type of GraphQL queries we have inside of Gatsby. Generally, there are two types of GraphQL queries. We have seen these two types of GraphQL queries into action before. The first one is page query, which is inside of our index.js right here. So this type of queries generally accepts variable names and only can be defined inside our pages, not inside our components. Whereas another type of query we have is static queries, which is inside our layout.js, which sits right here. And This type of query generally to say it's self-contained inside of our components, just our components. And these are static queries is static, which tells by its name, and it doesn't generally accept variable names as well. And if we need to use it inside of our pages, we need to pass it down to our components, like we have passed our title inside our header component right here. So the old way of again, there are two types of static queries in general sense. Let's take a look at the documentation to understand more. So inside our documentation, let's navigate to how to query for data in page. And inside here, we can see here that we have the new way and the old way of doing things. The old way of doing things is defining the query itself, like query homepage query, and which we won't be totally getting into, but we are currently using use static query hook. So this type of hook, which is already predefined inside of Gatsby, and this is one of the features that Gatsby provides. So in the similar way, we have use static query hook inside of our demo application that we are trying to build as well. So furthermore, we will be adding more features to this one. As you can see here, use static query is important and used for querying our data uh, inside our Gatsby application. So, but still you can place these queries wherever you want and play around with it. Basically, the queries are all the same inside of these curly braces. So I assume till this point of the video, we are pretty much comfortable working around with Gatsby. Let's dig in and create a working application. I have created a rough design of what we are trying to build now. Let's take a look at it. Now we'll build this particular thing with the help of markdown files, but also we can achieve this the same with the YAML or even a headless CMS, where we will be definitely getting into Prismic for that one. We need to understand the way to transform our data, that is markdown files, into dynamic pages. The true power of Gatsby is that we can take data from pretty much anywhere and any data source and transform into whatever we want. Let's bring on the diagram we discussed earlier. Around 2018, Gatsby team introduced something called the content mesh. The idea behind this is pretty much simple. We have the data available to us in many different sources and services. Content mesh in Gatsby helped us to unify the data source and bring them together in a uniform way. We will implement how we can turn raw data into static Gatsby pages, where we will firstly take markdown files and secondly integrate Prismic, a headless CMS, for building our sites. So I have here added some of the markdown files that we need as per the design that we created before, which is right here. And a couple of markdowns have been created, and then we want to read these markdowns inside of our Gatsby application. For that one, we'll make the use of our desired plugins, and we will make the use of Gatsby transformer remark. But also you can use many other plugins for that one, like Gatsby plugin MDX as well, or some other plugins are available as well. To install this particular plugin, we have this particular command. So let's grab this one, and meanwhile let's see how it's being used. So it's the same way that we use our image transformation and image sort plugins over to our Gatsby config, which is kind of same that we do for our source file system as well. So let's add Gatsby transformer after this one, and down here we want to do the same as we did for our previous part for this Gatsby source file system. So right here, let's paste it, and we want to change our path because our markdown path lies in the root folder, and here's markdown. So we want to change this to markdown and hit save. And if we make the change to our Gatsby config.js file, we need to restart our server. So let's again run our server. So I have already added some queries. So if we hit on play button, then we can see our total count of markdown files are 3. So this shows that we can successfully play with our markdown files, which are post 1, post 2, and post 3. If you want to query down all the markdown files that we have inside an array, so we can use the edges right here. So if we click on edges, and inside node we have the thing called front matter. So front matter generally is the thing that we see on the top here. You can add any of the front matter that you want, anything then that can be added, like deadline date, or maybe anything more that you want to add. So front matter, and then if we play on, then we can see all the front matter that we have inside our markdown files returned as an JSON objects. So it's a JSON object. So we can also further go ahead and way down for our other text right here. So for that one, we can make the use of HTML right here. What this does is it's generally converts our markdown files into HTML. So it's this is done by our plugin, which we have used, which is really great, Gatsby transform remark. And then if we hit on play, then we can see that all of our contents has been converted into HTML. And then we also have the front matter um, inside some JSON object structure. So we can further go ahead and consume these. So now let's try to list down all the markdown files that we have inside our main, you know, index.js file. Before going into that one, I want to show you that we have some unique property which is called SERP. So it does what it does is it generally prints out a certain character length of the description or anything that we have inside our markdown files, so that we can further head on and give some of the arguments, pass down some of the arguments to excerpt as well. So we will make the use of this particular thing right here. So so now let's move on to our index.js. Here we want to import static query, because we want to query down for our markdown files that we just queried down here. So and also I want to import GraphQL. Let's create a constant down here and get article. Let's say get mark down articles, and then here we can write GraphQL and then two backticks. So inside here, let's go ahead and paste. I'll copy this one and paste it right inside here. Now let's use this particular variable we defined inside our template. For that one, we can create a new div inside here. Let's create just a div so that we can write further styles on that wrapper. That here we want to make the use of this particular thing, static query right here, and the query that we just made is query is equal to this particular query right here, get markdown articles. Let's and hit save, and we want to render that particular data that has been queried. So we can write render is equal to data and then an arrow, and inside here we can still loop down all the data that we like queried. So for that one, we can introduce something called fragments, which needs to be like it needs to be inside a same data dot all markdown remark dot total count. So generally, as we mentioned before, we are just traversing in a sense inside our JSON object right here. So also we want to have our loop. So data dot all markdown remark dot edges, and we want to map over all the objects inside this. So and use a fat arrow right here, and also we want to make a div, a wrapping div, and then give it key, because we need a key to like iterate upon the returned query data. So node.id. So down here we can like write our query thing right here. So for now, let's just write node dot formatter dot title. So node dot font matter dot title. So I think this is pretty much fine for now. Let's go ahead and see our changes. By the way, there is an error right here. It's with a return value in the arrow function. I think let's remove this one. Let's add distant braces. Let's hit save, and let's format a bit. And if we visit our localhost, our markdown files are printed out here successfully, and we also have the total length of total files of markdown files right here. And then now it's far much easier, so that we can look down all the list of markdown files. But after listing down all the list of markdown files, we also need to like navigate to a detail screen as well. We will definitely go into that one as well. So now let's try to like bring it into proper structure that we have right here inside our design. So at the moment, we just list down all the markdown files that we have. And now the next step would be creating a single post page. So for creating a single post page, we need a slug. If you don't know what is slug, slug is simply it's simply a URL. If it's like post 1, or let's say it's a post 2, then this particular thing right here is a slug. So we want to get that dynamically from our markdown files, so that inside our markdown files we have these folders right here: post 1, post 3, and post 2. These names are slug. So to generate slug, all we got to do here is make the use of our node API called onCreateNode. For that one, we will head towards Gatsby node, and inside here we can create and write our function so that we can create that particular slug. For that one, we will create a function and the use of onCreateNode. This takes first one is node, and second is actions, and the third is getNode. So inside here we can destructure our actions that we have. So with create node fields, and then it's field, create node field, and then we can write some condition. So if the node dot internal dot type is equals to markdown, then what we want to do here is we will create a constant and name it value, and we want create file path, which is not imported yet. So it helps to like generate the file path with the help of behind the scene we are using node. So this particular script would be executed in our build process behind the scene. So for that one, we also need a create file path that helps us to know the current path we are in. We also want to require Gatsby node source file system as well, and we want to use this particular create file path over here, so that we can further pass down our node and get node, and also our base path, which is right now index. So we'll be like looping down inside our index file. And then we want to create the node fields for that one. So create node field, and which is taken from inside our actions. And behind the scene, the surprising thing is behind the scene, Gatsby uses Redux. So we have actions over here. So create node field, and we want to pass down an object consisting of the name, and which is obviously our slug, and then we also want node and then value. So to understand better what we are looking after, I just like changed and tweaked our code a little bit. I just added a console log with our node to print, and if we just close and restart the server, then we need to see what we are after, that is file absolute path. Once we have saved and restart our development environment, then we can see our file absolute path, which is the path of the each markdown files that we have, which is right here. So in most cases, we would want to have the each markdown file name to generate the page slug for us. So we can get that by targeting the file absolute path right here, as seen in the console log printed over here, and we can make the use of these slugs to create our detail pages dynamically as well. So let's remove this one and let's get back. After making each pages for our article page through slug, we want to update those inside of our article, which is right. So inside our article, we can now create an empty layout inside this one. For now, we just want to return an empty layout and then close down our layout. And inside here, we want to specify is detail of the blog post. This is the detail of our and we also want to export our article template as well. Hit a save. So we have created our slug dynamically, and we can check it inside our GraphQL, so that we can get all the slugs of the markdown files that we have. So inside our GraphQL, we can query down with to get all the slugs. So for that one, we can write query, give it a name, my query, and we want to query for all markdown remarks files, which is inside ages and node. And inside here, we have the slug. We have, I think this is filled, and here we have, we have our slug here. And if we play, then we get our post 1, post 2, and post 3 as our slugs. So this is really helpful in order to like navigate to a detail screen. So in order to navigate to our detail screen, behind the scene, we make the use of Gatsby node, and we create the individual pages with the help of Gatsby node, and it creates individual pages for us with the help of these slugs provided. And then for that one, we can write a new function to which can create individual pages for us. So exports dot create pages, and then we can this can be an async function. So and we can take down two things from here, which is GraphQL and actions from our Gatsby, and then we can create a constant and name it create page, which is the structure from actions that we received. And then we can also make constant, call it response, which is from our query, and we will make our query with the two backticks. And inside here we can add this particular thing right here we created. So let's copy this one, all markdown remark, and then we can paste this right here. So let's format a bit, and then I think we left some parentheses over here, so let's add parentheses as well. So after this one, we can create a constant and call it article, and then which is the response that we received from this one, response dot data dot all markdown remark dot edges. So all markdown remark dot edges, and we can further have our loop for each article. For each article, we want to get two things, which is for each article we want to assign node to the name article, and then we want to use the fat arrow function, and inside here we will import a new thing, which is we also need a path, but we will also want to import the article template, which we haven't created yet, which we will create as well. So we want now create a page where we pass down the objects, which is the path, and the path is our templates. So we haven't created that template, so we will definitely create a new folder template, and inside here we can call it article.js. We don't want anything inside here for now. We just want to have an empty thing right here, so we won't be having anything much inside here. So inside our path we will give that particular path, which is we just created, which is inside article, and then pass down the slug article.fields.slug, and then we also want to specify the component, and for the component we just created the name article template right here, and then we also pass down the context as an object. So context object takes a slug, which is article.fields.slug, and then we can save it as well. And I have added some query that we can like query down for our individual article pages, and we can experiment with it like article slash post one, or maybe we can add two right here so that we can get a different article. And this is for my lab for TypeScript, and the other one is using Hasura with GraphQL. So behind the scene we are generating pages through our Gatsby node. So this generates pages for us, and we are fetching the generated pages inside of our Gatsby with the help of the pre-generated pages with the help of Gatsby node. Behind the scene node is running, which helps us to generate these pages. So now what we got to do is we got to add these in the separate layout in a sense, so that we can just see our articles as per our design we have made. We have a list of articles, and then if we just click on one article, it goes to a detailed screen, and we can also go back to our home screen, and this is all done through just markdown. So yeah, we want to now add images. So for that one I will like change a little bit for easier for us. We will just place these images inside of our these markdown folder, and then we will also place these thumbnails inside our markdown folder. We will delete the thumbnail and banner separated. So now let's go ahead and import img from Gatsby image. Meanwhile, we need to add some packages. So we also need to add Gatsby transformer image inside our package. For that one, we will go to our terminal right here and add new packages. So the new packages, so I think Gatsby remark images isn't installed, by the way. We are just so these are the two packages that we need. So the two packages I want to install is Gatsby remark images and obviously Gatsby plugin chart. but I guess Gatsby plugin Sharp is already installed, which is right here. But anyway, it would be overridden or not installed if it, in case it's already installed. So now we will head towards our you know article.js, and inside here we want to further query down our banner image as well inside our article, which is right this one, this banner image of Chakra UI, as you see. So inside our front matter we want banner. So this particular banner must be resembled with this particular thing right here, which says detail image, but we can just write banner over here and add just this one for now. And for this one also we can just add this one, and we can call it thumb. So we will, for efficiency right now, we will just add images to all of our front matter the same, so that it would be really easy for us to query down our images, a banner image and thumbnail images as well. So for the banner images, we want to process it with child image sharp, and then we want to get fluid image, which is responsive by default with the max width of around, let's say, 750. And then we also want the Gatsby image sharp fluid to run these images as well. Gatsby image. So I guess with this one we can further add our images right here inside our img tag and close it down. So inside here we want to get the fluid image, and we want to write our image we queried down, which is article dot markdown remark dot front matter dot banner dot child image sharp dot fluid. So I will write it down here, and we also want to add our alt text. For that one we can write our alt text of the front matter title. So we can add our alt text right here as well and hit a save. And as you can see that the image thumbnails has been generating in progress, so that behind the scene we are querying down the images and generating the optimized image for us. So meanwhile we can also go ahead and link our index file, which is this one, to our detailed articles as well. So we can wrap this inside our link. So we will import link from Gatsby, and we want this particular link to be wrapped inside of these these files, these data that we looked after getting the data from this GraphQL query. So we want to loop it down path that we want to navigate to. So for this one we will go to article, and we want also to pass down the node dot fields dot slug, but we obviously need to add nodes dot field dot slug over here as well. So we will add node and then we will query for slug, and inside slug I think we should add field, and inside here we have the access of slug. So this is G, and let's hit save. So for this particular, you right here, export default imported as link. I think we should use this right here instead of importing right there. And everything looks fine. Let's go to our browser and then let's see. And we successfully added our, these images, which is inside our detail screen, which is right here, articles slash blog post 3. And if we move towards our main page, we just have these. So we can go back and click, but we have all the images seen. For that one, we will go to our markdown and add our different images for different markdown files. And also I think we need to add some images inside our home screen as well, and also split this into a different layout in a sense. Now I have added some basic styling and added some layout changes. So this is basically what it looks like right now. If we go to our detail screen, we have our detail of the blog, and we have somewhat added the basic thing that we like discussed and thought about, and kind of resembles our UI. But definitely we can like query down for our written by and then publish on, and also add some date formatting as well. But for now, as this is getting a little bit longer, I'll try to skip this one. So guys, in this third module of the video, we understood about working with plugins, graphical queries, and basically generating dynamic pages inside of our Gatsby application. Thank you so much for watching my videos. If you guys want to learn about design and development more, please like, share, and subscribe with a click down below. I'll be trying to make better videos. See you in the next one.